In the flickering glow of monitors casting eerie shadows across the control room, Dr. Kalian Vorix felt a chill crawl up his spine. How had it come to this? With each flicker of static and chaotic imagery, the images of his beloved Earth, the once vibrant cradle of civilization, morphed into a nightmarish tableau. The emergency transmission blared with urgency, declaring the planet a Deathworld of Class 13, a designation reserved for worlds too perilous for life. Acidic oceans churned, radioactive deserts stretched into infinity, and grotesque creatures roamed the remnants of once thriving cities like New York and São Paulo. What had humanity wrought upon itself? For decades, Earth had been more than just a planet. It had been a beacon of hope, a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. But the legacy of innovation had become a double-edged sword. Vorix, revered for his groundbreaking work in astrobiology, watched helplessly as the very experiments designed to propel humanity into a golden age spiraled into catastrophe. The Council's deliberations echoed in his mind, the debate raging between intervention and isolation. The magnificent landscapes of the Amazon, once teeming with life, were now choked by a slow creep of decay, as if the Earth itself mourned its fate. As he sifted through the data streaming in from the Galactic Council, he couldn't shake the sense of urgency that consumed him. The mutated flora and fauna, grotesque parodies of their former selves, were not mere consequences of environmental neglect. They were evidence of something deeper, more sinister, a confluence of human folly and cosmic forces that had twisted the Earth into a battleground for survival. Vorix's fingers trembled over the controls as he recalled his childhood in the quiet suburbs of Maplewood, where he had first dreamed of the stars. Those dreams now felt like a cruel joke, mocking him from the vastness of space. The first signs of conflict emerged during a routine analysis of atmospheric anomalies. Data streams revealed erratic fluctuations in the electromagnetic field surrounding Earth, hinting at a phenomenon beyond comprehension. Vorix's heart raced as he considered the implications. If these disturbances were linked to the planet's transformation, it could mean that a malevolent force lurked just beyond the veil of reality, something that had been awakened by humanity's reckless ambition. As the walls of the control room seemed to close in around him, Vorix felt the weight of the environment pressing down. The sterile, metallic space was a stark contrast to the lush parks and vibrant streets he had once roamed. Memories of playing in the verdant expanses of Central Park flooded his mind, now overshadowed by visions of desolation. He could almost hear the laughter of children, feel the warmth of the sun, contrasting sharply with the grim reality displayed on the screens before him. His past was a tapestry, woven with both triumph and trauma. He had lost his family to the very disasters that now plagued Earth, a tragedy that ignited his passion for science but left deep scars on his soul. This personal connection to the planet's plight drove him to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. But as he delved deeper into the data, a nagging feeling tugged at him, a sense that the answers he sought would lead to revelations he might not be ready to confront. But when night fell, something inexplicable happened. As night enveloped the control room, a thrumming pulse echoed through the air, a strange resonance that seemed to vibrate in Vorix's chest. He leaned closer to the monitors, his eyes narrowing as the chaotic images shifted yet again. Shadows danced across the screens, and for a moment he thought he saw a figure, a fleeting silhouette, darting just beyond the edge of the static. Heart pounding, he dismissed it as a trick of the light, but the unease settled deeper in his gut. Just then, the door to the control room hissed open, and a figure stepped inside. It was Dr. Ilara Mendez, a fellow scientist and one of the last remaining optimists in their team. With her wild curls and fierce determination, she had always been a beacon of hope, but even her spirit seemed dimmed by the grim realities of their world. "Kalian," she said, her voice steady, but laced with urgency. "I've been analyzing the data. The disturbances in the electromagnetic field are escalating. We need to figure out what's causing them before it's too late." Vorex turned to face her, feeling a mix of relief and dread. Ilara was brilliant, but her resolve could lead them down paths fraught with danger. "You've seen the reports. This isn't just a natural phenomenon. Something is awakening. We need to tread carefully." "But what if it's already too late to tread carefully?" Ilara pressed, stepping closer. "The Council is debating evacuation protocols, but if we leave now, we may never understand what happened here. The answers might be right beneath our noses." Vorex hesitated, caught between the desire for safety and the call of discovery. His mind raced back to the idyllic days of his youth, when curiosity had driven him to explore every corner of the universe. That same curiosity now ignited a fire within him, pushing him to confront the unknown, even as fear gnawed at his resolve. "We need to gather more data," he said finally, his voice barely a whisper. "If there's a force at play here, we need to understand it before we make any decisions." Ilara nodded, her eyes brightening with purpose. "I'll contact the others. We'll assemble a team to investigate the epicenter of the disturbances," she declared, her enthusiasm infectious. But as she turned to leave, Vorex felt a surge of anxiety. "Ilara, wait. If we're going to do this, we need to be prepared for anything. We don't know what we might encounter." "I know," she replied, her expression softening. "But we can't turn our backs on Earth, Kalian. Not now." Before he could respond, the lights in the control room flickered violently, plunging them into darkness for a heartbeat, before emergency lights bathed the space in a harsh red glow. Alarms blared, drowning out their voices. "What's happening?" Ilara shouted, struggling to maintain her composure. Vorex's fingers flew over the controls as chaos erupted around them. "Data streams are spiking. The disturbances are intensifying." Suddenly, a new figure appeared in the doorway, Commander Riven Talos, a military officer who had long been skeptical of scientific endeavors over military action. His presence brought an icy chill to the room, and both Vorex and Ilara felt the shift in atmosphere. "Enough of this," Talos barked, his tone commanding. "You're playing with fire. We're evacuating the sector. Whatever is happening here is beyond your control." Vorex met Talos's gaze, his heart racing as he felt the walls closing in once more. "We can't leave yet. If we abandon this planet, we might lose everything. There's something more at play here." "Enough," Talos interrupted, his fists clenched. "You think your discoveries matter when the planet is on the brink of annihilation. You're blinded by your obsession." The tension in the room crackled like static, and Vorex felt the weight of their fates hang in the balance. The emotional conflict surged within him, a tempest of fear, regret, and the relentless drive to uncover the truth. He was torn between the need to save what remained of Earth and the haunting shadows of his past that pushed him forward. As the alarms blared and the shadows deepened, Vorex realized he had to make a choice. He could either heed Talos's warning and retreat, or risk everything to unveil the mysteries lurking in the dark. The air shimmered with uncertainty, the decision looming as the world outside continued to unravel. With a heavy heart, he glanced at Ilara, who stood resolute by his side, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Their destinies were intertwined, and the path forward would demand sacrifice and courage. Together they would confront the darkness, even if it meant awakening the very forces that had turned their home into a death world. The flickering monitors echoed their resolve, and as the pulse of the unknown thrummed louder, Vorex felt a fire ignite within him, a determination to reclaim their world or perish in the attempt. As the alarms continued to blare, Vorex felt a sudden chill wash over him, as if the air itself had thickened with foreboding. He glanced at Ilara, whose expression had shifted from determination to concern. She was reading something on her tablet, her brow furrowing deeper with each passing second. "Vorex," she said, her voice low and shaky, "I think you need to see this." He moved closer, peering over her shoulder. The screen displayed data. From their last field investigation, readings that had always seemed erratic but were now coalescing into a sinister pattern. "What am I looking at?" he asked, his heart sinking. "The disturbances," Ilara replied, her finger tracing a line on the graph. "They're not random, they form a sequence, one that mirrors the exact timing of the incident." The incident. Voryx's mind raced back to that fateful day years ago, when his research team had been swallowed by a cataclysmic event. A violent surge of energy had erupted from the Earth's core, killing many and leaving him haunted by guilt and unanswered questions. It was an event that had pushed him into the arms of scientific exploration, but now it felt like a shadow that loomed over him, taunting him with its unresolved nature. "Are you saying this is connected?" he stammered, the realization sending shivers down his spine. "Not just connected," Ilara said, her voice trembling. "I believe it's a cycle, a repeating pattern. It's happening again, and if we don't stop it..." Before she could finish, the lights flickered again, and Voryx felt a surge of energy ripple through the room. The monitors began to glitch erratically, displaying images of the incident, flashes of fire, chaos, and the faces of his fallen colleagues. He staggered back, gripping the edge of the console. "Voryx!" Ilara's voice cut through the chaos. "It's like the past is trying to break through. You need to focus." But the images were overwhelming. He could hear their voices, the laughter and arguments, the camaraderie they had shared. Then the screams, the terror that had ensued. He squeezed his eyes shut, desperate to block it all out. "It can't be. It can't be real," he whispered, questioning his own sanity as the past bled into the present. Commander Talos, watching from the sidelines, stepped closer. "What's happening to him?" he demanded, a flicker of concern breaking through his military facade. "Ilara, I don't know what's real anymore," Voryx gasped, feeling the walls of reality closing in on him. "Stay with me, Kalian," Ilara urged, gripping his arm. "This is more than just electromagnetic disturbances. It's a manifestation of our past, trying to warn us or punish us." A heavy silence fell over the room as the gravity of her words sank in. Talos, too, was shaken, his hardened exterior cracking. "What if this is a consequence of your research?" he asked Voryx, his tone now laced with a hint of empathy. "What if your past actions are coming back to haunt you?" Voryx's breath hitched. The weight of guilt clung to him like a shroud. He had thought he was seeking redemption through his work, but now it felt like he was courting disaster. "I need to know the truth," he finally said, his voice a mix of desperation and resolve. Not just about the disturbances, but about what really happened that day. Around them, the monitors continued to flicker with ominous images, each one more jarring than the last. The pulse of the unknown throbbed in the air, and Voryx felt the floor shift beneath him, as if the very fabric of reality was unraveling. Ilara's eyes locked onto his, filled with unspoken fears and a determination that mirrored his own. "Then, we'll face it together. But we need to move quickly before whatever is awakening becomes unstoppable." As they prepared to delve into the heart of the mystery, Voryx recognized the depths of his own unresolved trauma. He was not just battling external forces. He was confronting the ghosts of his past. The stakes had never been higher, and the path ahead promised revelations that could either save them or lead to their ultimate doom. And somewhere in the shadows, unseen forces stirred, waiting for the moment to strike. As Voryx steeled himself, the world around him seemed to vibrate with an energy that pulsed like a living heartbeat. The monitors blared louder, drowning out the distant echoes of his past that clawed at his mind. Ilara's grip on his arm was firm, anchoring him to the present, yet he could still feel the specter of that day looming large, ready to engulf him once more. "Are you ready?" Ilara asked, her voice a thin thread of calm in the chaos. Voryx nodded, though doubt gnawed at him. "We don't have a choice. We need to confront this before it consumes us." The lights flickered again, casting a strobe of shadows across the room. As he took a step toward the central console, The ground trembled beneath him. The walls reverberated with the past, images flashing across the screens in a maddening loop. It was then that he saw her, Dr. Mira, his closest friend, her scream frozen in time, eyes wide with terror. "Stop!" he shouted, the anguish bubbling to the surface. "You're not real!" But the screens continued to play their cruel montage, and with it came the realization this wasn't merely a projection, it was a reckoning. Each image was a reminder of what he had lost, what he had failed to protect. The weight of his failure pressed down on him, threatening to crush him beneath its enormity. "Focus, Voryx!" Alara's voice cut through his haze. "We can't let it overwhelm us." Commander Talos stepped forward, his military training igniting a spark of authority amidst the chaos. "We need to create a feedback loop. If we can harness the energy from the disturbance, we might redirect it." Voryx's heart raced at the implications. "But that could backfire. We might unleash whatever is causing this. Or we could end it," Talos countered, his eyes hardening with resolve. "We're not here to play it safe anymore." Alara glanced at Voryx, uncertainty flickering in her gaze. "What do we do?" He took a deep breath, the weight of their past colliding with the urgency of the moment. "We face it, together. But if we do this, we must accept the risk. We might not all make it out." As they united their efforts, Voryx felt the energy in the room shift. The monitors surged with light, revealing more than just images. They displayed an invitation, a challenge. It was as if the very fabric of reality was daring them to confront their fears head-on. "On my mark," Talos said, his voice steadying the tremors in the air. 3, 2, 1, now." With that, Voryx leaped toward the console, fingers flying over the controls. The screens exploded with energy, colors swirling, the past and present colliding violently. He felt the pull of anguish, the weight of lost lives. But alongside it came a surge of determination. Alara's voice rose alongside his, fusing their intentions. "We're not afraid anymore." In that decisive moment, as the energy coiled around them like a serpent ready to strike, Voryx confronted the cacophony of his memories, refusing to let them dictate his fate. The struggle was fierce, both physical and emotional, a battle against the shadows that sought to consume him. But as the energy peaked, something shifted. The monitors flickered, revealing not just chaos but also a glimpse of hope, a path forward. And in that fleeting moment, Voryx understood. It was not just about facing the past, it was about reclaiming the future. As the room trembled, the tension reached its zenith, and Voryx felt a decision coalesce within him. They could either succumb to the darkness or forge a new reality from the ashes of their fears. The outcome hinged on their next choices, and the air crackled with the weight of possibility. But just as he was about to seize the moment, a sudden jolt surged through the console, and a figure emerged from the shadows, altering the trajectory of their confrontation entirely. As the figure emerged from the shadows, a cold dread washed over Voryx and his team. It was a familiar silhouette, the undeniable presence of Dr. Mira, her expression a haunting blend of sorrow and anger. The monitors flickered violently, reflecting the turmoil inside Voryx's heart as he grappled with the impossible. "Mira?" he breathed, disbelief mingling with hope. "How can this be?" She stepped closer, her form flickering like a hologram caught between realities. "You think you can erase me, Voryx? The past is not so easily dismissed." Her voice echoed, with a spectral quality chilling the air. Alara stepped between Voryx and the apparition, her eyes fierce. "You're not her. This is a projection of his guilt, a manifestation of his regrets." Mira's laughter was hollow, reverberating through the room. "Regrets? No, my dear Alara, this is merely a taste of what's to come. The energy you harnessed has awakened something far more powerful than your fears." Voryx felt a surge of recognition, the memories flooding back. This was not just about his past, it was about the very essence of their mission, the consequences of tampering with forces they did not understand. He glanced at Talos, who was frantically working the console, trying to stabilize the surge of energy. "Keep it steady! We can't lose control now!" Talos shouted, sweat beading on his forehead. The intensity of the moment was palpable, and the air crackled with electric tension. As Mira's image flickered, Vorax felt a sudden jolt. The energy coiled tightly around them, and with a deafening roar, it exploded outward. The room shook, violently, sending shards of glass and debris spiraling into the air. Ilara was thrown against the wall, while Talos barely managed to stay anchored to the console. Vorax, however, found himself caught in a whirlwind of memories and emotions. He could feel the pain of loss, the weight of guilt, and, beneath it, all a flicker of resolve. "I won't let you control me," he shouted, his voice rising above the chaos. In one final surge of energy, Vorax reached deep within himself, channeling the pain into a force of will. The monitors exploded with light, and Mira's image shattered into 1,000 fragments, dissipating like mist in the wind. The room fell silent, the tremors subsiding, leaving an eerie calm in their wake. But the victory came at a price. Vorax staggered back, gasping for breath, his heart racing. He felt a sharp pain in his side, glancing down to see crimson staining his shirt. Emotionally drained and physically wounded, he looked around at his team. Ilara struggled to her feet, wincing from a gash on her forehead. Are we safe?" she asked, her voice shaky. "For now," Talos replied, his expression grave. "But we've only scratched the surface. That energy, it's still out there." Vorax's mind raced, the remnants of Mira's words echoing in his thoughts. They had quelled one storm, but the horizon darkened with the promise of more chaos to come. As they regrouped, Vorax caught a glimpse of something on the console, a jagged line of code that pulsed ominously. "What is this?" he murmured, leaning closer. It was a data stream that seemed to pulse, almost alive, hinting at hidden layers within the phenomenon they had just faced. Ilara leaned in, her brow furrowed. "It looks like a distress signal, but from where?" Vorax felt a chill run down his spine. The room may have grown quiet, but the echoes of their confrontation lingered, leaving a web of unanswered questions. They had survived, but the mystery wasn't over. It was only just beginning. "Prepare for another jump," Talos commanded, his voice steady, though Vorax could see the uncertainty in his eyes. "We need to find out what we've unleashed." As they gathered their strength, Vorax knew one thing with certainty: the confrontation had changed them all. The scars they carried, both physical and emotional, would shape their paths forward, binding them together in a quest to uncover the truth hidden beneath layers of fear and regret. New terrors awaited, and the real fight was only beginning. The energy surged around them. Vorax, Ilara, and Talos stood at a precipice, their minds racing with the implications of their choices. They had quelled one storm, but the horizon darkened with the promise of more chaos. The console flickered ominously, revealing two potential paths that shimmered with equal danger. Vorax stared at the screen, where two holographic images materialized. AI, path leading to a realm of untold power, promising to rid them of their burdens and grant them unimaginable control over the energies they had awakened. The other path flickered with a haunting glow, a desperate plea for a sacrifice that would save countless lives but cost them their own. Each choice loomed before him, equally enticing and terrifying. "What do we do, Vorax?" Ilara's voice trembled, the weight of the moment pressing down on them like lead. He felt the pull of both options, the lure of power whispering sweet promises, but the other path called to his sense of duty and sacrifice. "We can't let this power corrupt us," he declared, his heart pounding. "But can we live with the choice of saving others only at the cost of ourselves?" Talos looked between the two paths, his eyes wide with fear. "There's no way to know what lies at the end of either road. We could lose everything." Vorax's resolve wavered as he considered the consequences. The choice lay heavy upon him. Two equally terrible endings awaited, one promising domination and the other selfless destruction. With a deep breath, he reached out, his hand hovering above the console, poised to make a decision that would seal their fates. In that moment, he felt the weight of the world upon his shoulders, a burden of choice that could change the course of their lives forever. Would he succumb to the temptation of power, risking corruption, or would he choose the path of sacrifice, potentially dooming himself and his team? The echoes of Mira's spectral warning danced in his mind, and he knew that whatever he chose, the consequences would reverberate far beyond this moment. Voryx's finger trembled as it hovered between the two options, embodying the fate that awaited them all. As the screen flickered ominously, Voryx's heart raced with the gravity of his decision. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Share with your friends so they can also embark on this mystery-filled adventure, and leave a comment below telling us your favorite part or what kind of ending you'd like to see in a future story.